The last few days at IBROX have been anything but quiet, and when you look closely at everything unfolding behind the scenes, it becomes clear that Rangers are moving through one of those defining moments of the season where decisions made now can shape everything that comes after. The transfer window has reached that tense stage where rumors turn into offers and offers turn into statements of intent, and Rangers have suddenly found themselves right in the middle of a storm of interest that very few people predicted even a few weeks ago. What immediately grabs attention is the firm stance taken by the club regarding Isef Chimiti. An offer worth €15 million was formally presented, and Rangers did not hesitate to knock it back. This is the same player who has been under heavy scrutiny for much of the campaign, a player many supporters questioned when he first arrived, especially given the initial fee involved. For a long stretch, it was difficult to see where that valuation came from, and doubts were understandable. Yet football has a habit of shifting narratives quickly, and more recently, Chimiti has begun to show why the club invested in him. His movement has improved, his confidence in front of goal has grown, and there is a sense that the team functions better with him involved. Rangers rejecting that bid sends a powerful message that they believe his value goes beyond the figures currently being placed on the table. That message becomes even stronger when you consider the second major approach that landed almost simultaneously. An offer of £10 million arrived for another player who has experienced a very mixed season. Early flashes of quality gave way to periods of anonymity, and criticism followed naturally. Despite that inconsistency, Rangers again chose not to bite, suggesting that internally the club sees far more upside than risk. When you add both offers together, you are looking at more than £20 million being proposed for two players who, not long ago, were being questioned week after week. That contrast alone tells you how quickly perceptions can change and how carefully Rangers are weighing their next move. It also forces a broader reflection on the recruitment strategy that has been debated so fiercely among supporters. For months, there has been skepticism, frustration, and outright anger aimed at the club's decision-making in the market. Now, however, interest of this magnitude has arrived, and it raises an uncomfortable but necessary question about whether some early judgments were made too hastily. Football supporters are emotional by nature, and rightly so, but moments like this remind everyone that development is rarely linear, and patience, while difficult, can sometimes be rewarded. While attention has focused heavily on outgoing interest, movement in the opposite direction remains just as compelling. Rangers have already made their position clear with a €3 million bid for a young attacking option they believe could add a different dimension to the squad. At this stage, the selling club is reluctant to part with him, but the player himself is keen, which keeps the situation very much alive. These are the kinds of negotiations that often drag deep into the final days of the window, and Rangers will be watching closely, ready to act if circumstances shift even slightly. At the same time, there are signs that not every summer addition will form part of the long-term picture. One midfielder appears close to securing a permanent move away, with a return south looking increasingly likely. It simply never clicked in Glasgow, and sometimes that happens regardless of intent or reputation. From a squad management perspective, clearing space can be just as important as bringing new faces in, particularly when the focus is on balance and cohesion rather than sheer numbers. And among all this uncertainty, one story stands out as a genuine success and perhaps the clearest indication of why Rangers are attracting attention from major clubs across Europe. A defender signed for a relatively modest fee has quickly established himself as one of the most reliable performers in the squad week after week. He has delivered composure, aggression, and consistency, qualities that do not go unnoticed at the highest level. Interest from elite sides is hardly surprising, but losing a player of that importance midway through a title push would be a huge blow. Rangers know his value extends far beyond any figure discussed at this stage. Away from transfer talk, the mood around the team itself has shifted dramatically compared to the early months of the season. What once felt fractured now feels unified, and recent results have reinforced that sense of belief. A run of victories has reignited the title challenge and transformed the atmosphere at IBROX, turning tension into optimism and doubt into momentum. Players who seemed on the fringes not long ago are now central figures, and nowhere is that transformation clearer than in midfield. One player in particular has spoken openly about how different things feel now. Earlier in the season, his future looked uncertain, his confidence shaken after being left out and struggling to find his place. Fast forward to the present, and he is playing a crucial role in a side that believes it can go all the way. The shift has not just been tactical, but emotional. There is a visible connection between players, staff, and supporters that was missing before, and it shows every time Rangers step onto the pitch. That togetherness was evident in the recent victory that kept the pressure firmly on their closest rivals, even during nervous moments. The response from the stands was supportive rather than anxious, and that energy fed straight back into the performance. These are the fine margins that define title races, and Rangers appear to be rediscovering them at exactly the right time. As European football returns to the schedule, the challenge only intensifies. Balancing domestic ambition with continental competition requires depth, focus, and clarity, and the decisions made in this transfer window will play a significant role in determining how far Rangers can push on both fronts. The squad believes it is heading in the right direction. The supporters are starting to feel that connection again, and the club's firm stance in the market suggests a confidence that has been absent for some time. As that belief continues to grow, it is impossible to ignore how sharply the narrative around this Rangers squad has shifted in such a short space of time. Only a few months ago, there was a sense of drift, a feeling that the season was slipping away before it had even found a clear identity. Results were patchy, confidence was fragile, and the atmosphere around IBROX reflected that uncertainty. Now, there is a very different energy surrounding the club, one built on clarity, simplicity, and a renewed sense of purpose that has filtered through every level of the squad. Much of that change has come from a more straightforward approach on the training ground and on match days. Players have spoken about how instructions are clearer, roles are better defined, and expectations are consistent from week to week. That does not mean creativity has been stifled. On the contrary, there is a sense that individuals are expressing themselves more freely because they understand the structure around them. When players know where their teammates will be and what is expected in key moments, confidence naturally follows, and Rangers are now playing with far greater cohesion than earlier in the campaign. This renewed confidence has been especially noticeable in midfield, an area that previously looked disjointed and uncertain. The balance now feels right, with energy, discipline, and composure working together instead of pulling in different directions. Players who were once hesitant on the ball, are now demanding it, turning under pressure and driving the team forward. That change has allowed Rangers to control games more effectively, even when the margins are tight and the pressure is high. The psychological shift is just as important as the tactical one. Being part of a genuine title race changes everything, particularly for players experiencing it for the first time. There is an edge to training, an intensity to matches, and an awareness that every point matters. Rangers have responded well to that reality, showing resilience in moments when nerves might previously have crept in. Even when performances are not flawless, there is a determination to see games through, a trait that often separates contenders from pretenders. The role of the supporters in this phase of the season cannot be overstated. IBROX has rediscovered its voice, not in frustration, but in belief. That connection between the stands and the pitch has been rebuilt, and players have clearly felt it. When difficult moments arise, the response has been encouragement rather than anxiety, and that collective mindset has helped Rangers maintain momentum during a demanding run of fixtures. At the same time, the club is acutely aware that progress brings attention, and attention brings pressure. European matches add another layer of complexity, testing squad depth and mental sharpness. Competing on multiple fronts demands careful management, and that is where the decisions being made off the pitch become just as significant as those made on it. Holding firm in the transfer market sends a signal not only to potential buyers, but to the dressing room itself, reinforcing the message that this group is trusted to deliver something meaningful. There is also an understanding that not every story within the squad is about immediate success. Some players are still finding their rhythm, others are adapting to new responsibilities, and a few may yet see their futures resolved away from Glasgow. That process is part of the natural evolution of a team aiming to compete at the highest level. What matters is that the core of the squad feels aligned, motivated, and focused on a shared objective. As the season enters its decisive stretch, Rangers are operating in an environment where confidence and caution must coexist. Every victory fuels belief, but complacency is never far away in a league as unforgiving as this. The margin for error remains slim, and rivals are waiting for any sign of weakness. Rangers know that consistency, rather than flashes of brilliance, will ultimately define their campaign. What stands out most is how different the conversations feel now compared to earlier in the season. Instead of questioning identity and direction, the focus has shifted to execution and opportunity. There is an acceptance that challenges will arise, but also a belief that this group has the tools to respond. That mindset, combined with the growing unity between players, staff, and supporters, has placed Rangers in a position few would have confidently predicted not so long ago. With each passing week, the sense grows that this season is still very much alive, shaped by decisions made under pressure and performances delivered when it matters most. The road ahead remains demanding, but the foundations now feel solid, built on clarity, confidence, and a collective hunger to push forward and see just how far this renewed Rangers side can go. Looking ahead to what comes next, the challenge for Rangers is not only to maintain this upward trajectory, but to refine it as expectations continue to rise. When belief returns to a club of this size, it brings both opportunity and pressure in equal measure. Every performance is scrutinized, every decision debated, and every drop point magnified. What will matter most is how the squad responds to that attention, particularly in moments when momentum is tested. One of the encouraging signs in recent weeks has been the composure shown in tight matches. Rangers have learned how to manage games more effectively, slowing the tempo when required and accelerating it at the right moments. That maturity has not always been present this season, but it is becoming more visible as confidence grows. Players are communicating better on the pitch, reading situations quicker, and showing a willingness to do the hard, often unnoticed work that keeps a team balanced. Rotation will also become a key factor as fixtures continue to pile up. Competing domestically while also preparing for demanding European nights requires careful planning and trust in the wider squad. Rangers will need contributions from beyond the regular starters, and those opportunities can define careers. For players waiting patiently, this period represents a chance to prove they belong at this level and to strengthen the group as a whole. The physical demands of this stage of the season cannot be underestimated. Injuries, fatigue, and suspensions can quickly disrupt rhythm, and how Rangers navigate those challenges will say a lot about their resilience. Conditioning, recovery, and squad depth all come into play, but so does mentality. Teams chasing titles often speak about taking each game as it comes, and while that may sound simplistic, it reflects the discipline required to avoid looking too far ahead. And before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers are swirling round IBROX that the new regime under ROHL has brought a chill sharper than a Glasgow winter. Officially, nothing has been confirmed, but inside the corridors of the training ground, there's talk of a hardline approach that's raised eyebrows even among seasoned pros. The German gaffer, still a relatively young name in management, is said to have drawn a thick line between work and comfort, making it clear that Rangers are no holiday camp. According to dressing room murmurs, ROHL has laid down a series of strict house rules that would not look out of place in a military barracks. Laughter during meals, apparently frowned upon. Mobile phones, rumored to be banished from sight. Even ketchup in the refectory has become part of the folklore, with players joking darkly that condiments are now treated like contraband. One line, repeated in hushed tones, has already become legend. This is nay a holiday resort. Whether he actually said it in those words or not hardly matters. The message has landed. Those close to the club suggest ROHL's methods are rooted in his own story. His playing days ended early through injury, and he's long been viewed as a thinker, obsessed with marginal gains and total focus. To him, discipline is not punishment but protection, a way of stripping away distractions in a league where standards are unforgiving. Supporters, though, are split. Some admire the iron will, believing Rangers need a firm hand to reclaim their edge. Others worry that too tight a grip can stifle spirit, turning camaraderie into quiet resentment. For now, it remains speculation fueled by half-heard conversations and knowing nods. Yet, at IBROX, the feeling is unmistakable. A new sheriff is in charge, and whether this iron discipline forges steel or cracks morale will be one of the most intriguing stories of the season. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.